I'm sorry if you don't like it, but today's lesson is all about apologies, both good and bad. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. JR is the producer, and the full lesson is available at plainenglish.com/402. Coming up today, the elements of a good apology. We all know a bad apology. We're drowning in them. But a good, heartfelt apology can help repair or even strengthen friendships and relationships. Unfortunately, humans are hardwired to defend themselves and deflect blame. But in today's lesson, I'll show you the 6 elements of a good apology. The English expression we'll review today is put your money where your mouth is, and we have a quote of the week. So let's dive in. We've all heard them, the non-apologetic apologies. They typically go something like this. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Or, I'm sorry that I offended some people. Or, even better, I'm sorry some people were offended. This is an artful way of working the words I'm sorry into a statement that is not truly an apology. In fact, these statements deflect the blame from the speaker back onto the listener. The real problem here is not what I did, but the way you reacted to it. The other classic non-apology is the excuse-making apology. These typically include the word but. I'm sorry I was late, but the traffic was really bad. I'm sorry I missed the deadline, but I was under a lot of stress. Statements like this might be better than nothing, but we, as listeners, know they are not sincere apologies. So, if we know what a good apology is not, then what are the characteristics of a good apology? Psychologists have studied the issue, and they have identified 6 characteristics of a good apology. They are an expression of regret, an explanation of what happened, an acknowledgement of responsibility, a declaration of repentance, an offer of repair, and a request for forgiveness. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but not every true apology needs all 6 of those elements. If you are ever in a situation where you need to apologize for something, do consider using some combination of these 6 ingredients. And if you need to apologize for something really bad or something really serious, then pull out all the stops and use all 6. We'll talk about each step in order, and we'll create a sincere apology as we go along. So pretend you were supposed to meet your friend for lunch at noon, but you didn't arrive until 1:30 in the afternoon. So let's practice the 6 steps in this situation. Number 1 was an expression of regret. This is the "I'm sorry" statement where you show that looking back, you wish something had been different. It's the way you start something off. I'm sorry I was late. Okay? Next, you can explain what happened. The listener is often curious about the circumstances of a wrongful action, so you can offer a little bit of information here. Be careful not to make this sound like an excuse. You can accept blame and explain at the same time. Instead of saying, I'm sorry I was late, but traffic was really bad, you can say instead, I'm sorry I was late, traffic was very bad today. Number 3 is an acknowledgement of responsibility. You don't blame the traffic, you blame yourself. So you can say, I misjudged the traffic at this time of day and I didn't leave early enough. That's an example of putting the blame on yourself. The 4th step is a declaration of repentance. This is the time to show that you personally know there was harm done by your actions. It's time to acknowledge the effect on the other person. You can work another I'm sorry in here too if you need to. Notice that the action and the harm done are different. The action is that you were an hour and a half late, but the harm done is that the other person lost an hour and a half of their afternoon, or the other person had to sit alone awkwardly in a crowded restaurant. When you declare repentance, you want to focus on the harm done to the other person. For example, you were waiting alone in a crowded restaurant for over an hour when you could have been at home. I'm sorry to have left you waiting for so long. Next up, an offer of repair. You want to do something for the other person. The objective isn't to buy the other person's forgiveness. Instead, you want to show the other person you're serious about making amends. You want to put your money where your mouth is. Again, it doesn't have to be a big offer of repair, but it should be something. You can say, let me pick up the check for lunch today, or next time we'll go to the restaurant near your house so you don't have to travel as far. Something like that. The last element is a little controversial. You can ask for forgiveness. You don't want to demand or expect forgiveness, but you can request it. I hope you'll forgive me for making you wait. When you request forgiveness, keep in mind that you, as the offending party, you don't have a right to forgiveness. You can only request it. The wronged party can choose to forgive you or not, and can choose when to do so, if ever. So I left you waiting for an hour and a half at a crowded restaurant. Here's what my apology sounds like, all put together. I'm sorry I was late. Traffic was bad today, but I totally misjudged how much time it would take on a Saturday afternoon, and I didn't leave early enough. I feel so bad you were waiting here for an hour with nothing to do. Would you let me pick up the check today? Now that's a long apology for being late, but you get the idea. That sounds a lot better than, I'm sorry, but traffic was bad, right? Personally, I would like to hear far, far fewer apologies, but I would like the apologies I do hear to be more sincere. I also don't love the tendency in our society to demand an apology and then to criticize the person apologizing for not being sincere. A thoughtful apology is good for the speaker as well as the listener. When we do something wrong, we often try to protect ourselves by being defensive. I'm sorry, but deflects the blame. And that might reduce the initial tension, but it doesn't resolve true feelings of regret. So next time you do something wrong, even something small, try to put 3 or 4 of these ingredients together in a true apology and see how it goes. Today's expression is put your money where your mouth is. This simply means that you will show with your actions that you mean what you say. This can involve money, but it doesn't have to. I think the phrase originated in gambling or betting, but today it simply means that you will take real action to demonstrate that your words are sincere. Earlier today, we were talking about apologies, and one element of a good apology is an offer of repair. This is a concrete action that you take that will benefit the other person. It's not about what you did wrong or buying forgiveness, but it's a simple demonstration that your apology is about more than just words. If you make someone wait for you at a restaurant, you'll buy lunch that day. If you make a mistake at work, you will stay late to redo the task. Those are examples of putting your money where your mouth is. You're doing a concrete action to demonstrate that you are sincere with your words. A lot of companies today are concerned about their environmentalist credentials. Many large companies don't want to be seen as polluting the environment in the age of climate change. Previously, many companies simply made supportive statements about the environment. Increasingly, however, that's not enough. Companies need to put their money where their mouth is. If they want to be seen as an environmentally responsible company, they must do more than issue vague statements. That may mean buying carbon offsets, where the company pays for trees to be planted or preserved, or it may mean switching to renewable energy. We can debate how effective those are, but many companies, certainly not all, but many companies are taking real action to show their green credentials. They are trying to put their money where their mouth is. Every time a Republican is elected president in the U.S., many celebrities openly declare they are moving to Canada. There is no hope. America is doomed. News organizations publish articles about the spike in internet traffic on Canada's immigration website. Well, how many of these celebrities put their money where their mouth is and actually move? Very few. They soon realize that Canada is a lot colder than California. For partisan balance, every time a Democrat is elected president in the U.S., many people predict upcoming societal collapse. America will become a lawless land in which there are frequent cuts to power, looters roam the streets, and runaway inflation reduces everyone's savings to zero. Well, to their credit, many people do put their money where their mouth is, and they sell their assets and buy gold with the proceeds. To their discredit, that is often a bad decision. You can sometimes settle a verbal argument by putting your money where your mouth is and making a bet. If you've been listening to someone talk about how great the American football quarterback Tom Brady is and how he'll win another Super Bowl and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are unstoppable, you can say, put your money where your mouth is and place a bet on the Super Bowl. If the person is willing to take that bet, then that person is putting their money where their mouth is. If not, then you'll know it's just talk. Today's quote of the week is from Benjamin Franklin, always a good source of quotes in English. Here it goes. Never ruin an apology with an excuse. Those are the apologies that go like, I'm sorry, but. Never ruin an apology with an excuse. That's good advice. And that's all for today's Plain English. Now you'll be prepared to offer a sincere apology in English or your own first language. Let me know what you think about the elements of a good apology in our Facebook group. You can provide examples of a good apology or even a bad apology that you've either received or given. You can get to our Facebook group by visiting plainenglish.com/Facebook, and through the magic of redirection, you'll be taken to the right place. Well, that's all for today. Coming up on Thursday, the 50th anniversary of Disney World in Orlando, Florida. See you then.